Dr. Evan Reid slipped a small folded paper into my purse so quietly that I didn't even feel it at first. He leaned in, as if checking my handbag zipper, and his voice lowered to a whisper only I could hear. Helen, whatever you do, don't go home. You need to leave, now. For a moment, I thought I misheard him. I stared at him, confused. What? But Dr. Reid didn't answer. His face looked stiff, pale, almost frightened. He forced a smile toward his nurse, pretending everything was normal. My stomach tightened. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. My name is Helen Parker, 68 years old, retired schoolteacher living in Aurora, Colorado. I had come for a simple routine checkup, just like the original day I never forgot. But nothing about this visit felt normal. Dr. Reid flipped quickly through my medical report. Everything looks perfect, he said, but his voice was shaky, too quick to fake if I was healthy. Then why did he look like he was fighting back panic? When I stood to grab my purse, I finally felt the small paper he had slipped inside. He avoided eye contact as if he didn't want anyone to notice what he had done. I walked out of the clinic slowly, my mind spinning. Outside, I sat in my car and opened the note with shaking hands. The words nearly made my heart stop. Helen, your son and daughter-in-law visited yesterday. They asked me to file a report saying you are mentally unstable. They want to place you in a care facility and take control of your accounts and home. I refused. Please stay safe. Don't go home tonight. Dr. Reid, my hands went cold. I read the note again and again. My son Eric, the same Eric I raised alone, the same Eric I sacrificed everything for, and Laura, my daughter-in-law, who always pretended to smile. Was this really happening? I drove home slowly, hoping the note was wrong, hoping there was a misunderstanding, hoping my family could never think of doing something like that. But the moment I walked into the house, that hope died. Eric, Laura, and my granddaughter Chloe were sitting together on the living room couch. They stopped talking the moment I opened the door. Silence filled the air like smoke. Laura quickly slid some papers under a magazine. Eric stood up with a fake smile. Mom, how was your checkup? Fine, I said softly. Doctor said, I'm healthy. Their faces tightened. Not happy, not relieved, disappointed. Told me everything. At dinner, no one spoke to me. They avoided my eyes. Plates scraped, forks clicked, and every sound felt heavy. I felt like a stranger in my own home. That night, I sat in my room and reread Dr. Reid's note. My heart was pounding so loudly it felt like the walls could hear it. Around 2 a.m., I woke to soft whispers coming from the kitchen. I went to my door, opened it slightly, and listened carefully. It was Laura's voice. She's too normal, she said angrily. The doctor refused. We need another plan. Eric's voice came next. Cold. Calm. Terrifying. We'll try another doctor. Someone who will sign the papers. I need access to her accounts before the bills get worse. Then Chloe, my sweet granddaughter, whispered, Dad, I need money for school. I can't wait forever for Grandma to, my breath stopped. My own granddaughter. Then Eric said the words that shattered me. If she won't lose her mind on her own, we'll help her lose it. Laura asked, how? Switch her meds, hide things, confuse her, make her look unstable. In a month, she seemed sick enough for any doctor. I covered my mouth so they wouldn't hear me cry. I realized then I had to leave tonight, or they would destroy me. But they didn't know something. I had a secret that could change everything. What secret has Helen hidden for years' end? How will she escape before her own family traps her? I sat on the edge of my bed, holding Dr. Reid's note in one hand and my phone in the other. My whole body felt weak, like I was drifting out of myself, my son, my own family, plotting behind my back, trying to make me seem sick, trying to take everything I worked my whole life for. But they didn't know. I had something they could never expect. For the last 2 years, I had slowly moved most of my savings into a private account under a financial advisor named Mr. Graham Weston in Denver. Eric had no idea. Laura had no idea. Nobody in the family knew. I only did it because Eric's behavior started changing months ago. His sudden temper, his secret calls, his money problems. Something inside me told me to protect myself. Now, I was glad I listened to my instincts. That hidden money was the only reason I had a chance to escape. Tonight, I opened my closet and quietly pulled out an old travel bag. I didn't want the wheels to make noise, so I didn't drag it. I lifted it carefully and placed it on the bed. My hands trembled as I packed simple things: 2 dresses, a sweater, a jacket, underwear, toiletries. and a small blanket. My heart thumped loudly as I zipped the bag. Every tiny noise sounded huge in the silence of the night. I checked the hallway, dark and empty. Everyone was asleep, or so I hoped. I opened my bedside drawer and took out a small envelope. Inside were documents I had saved for years. My birth certificate, house, papers, bank, papers, old insurance, files, and my private account details. I hugged the envelope to my chest for a second. These papers were my life, proof of everything I owned, proof I wasn't confused or unstable. I put them inside my purse and zipped it tightly. Before leaving, I walked to my dresser and opened the bottom drawer. Under old scarves, I kept a small silver key inside a jewelry pouch. It opened a safety deposit box in Denver, one Eric didn't know existed. Inside that box were even more documents and a flash drive containing video messages I recorded over the past year. Whenever Eric made me uncomfortable, I took the key and slipped it into my bra. No one would find it there. I turned toward the window, ready to leave, but then I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, soft, careful. I froze. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. Someone stood there in the dark. I held my breath. Seconds felt like minutes. Then the doorknob turned slightly, like someone was checking if I had locked it. I stepped back slowly, praying they wouldn't push the door. After a moment, the footsteps moved away. I waited 2 more minutes, counting every second in my head, and then finally opened the window. Luckily, my room was on the first floor. I pushed the screen out slowly so it wouldn't clatter, then set my purse outside, then my travel bag. With one deep breath, I climbed out. The cold aurora air hit my face like a warning. My heart raced, but freedom felt close enough to touch. I grabbed my bags and quietly walked across the backyard, staying low, avoiding the motion sensor lights Eric had installed for safety. When I reached the side of the house, I peeked over the fence toward the driveway. My heart nearly stopped. Eric's car lights were on. He was inside the car, scrolling through something, maybe messages, maybe my doctor's office record. He looked angry. His jaw was clenched tight. If he saw me leave, everything would end right here. I crouched lower and moved along the fence line, heading toward the neighbor's backyard. The old man next door never locked his side gate, and thank God, it was unlocked tonight too. I slipped through and reached the street behind our house. Only then could I breathe again. I quickly pulled out my phone and ordered an Uber. But not from the app, because Eric could sometimes see notifications on the family tablet. I used the browser version instead. The driver was 6 minutes away. I hid behind an old oak tree near the sidewalk, hugging my purse tightly, my heart pounding. Every car headlight made me flinch. Every sound felt dangerous. Finally, a blue Toyota stopped in front of me. The driver rolled down the window. "You, Helen?" he asked. I nodded quickly and got inside. As we drove away, I looked back at the street disappearing behind me. The house where I spent my whole life was shrinking, turning into a small shadow. I didn't know if I would ever return. The driver asked quietly, "Where to, ma'am?" I said, "Denver, please." But I didn't know that before sunrise, something was already waiting for me there. When Helen reaches Denver, she discovers someone has already beaten her there, and her escape becomes even more dangerous than she imagined. That Uber drove through the dark highway toward Denver. The city lights in the distance gave me a little comfort, but my stomach was still tight with fear. I kept checking behind us to see if anyone was following. Every pair of headlights made my chest tighten. The driver glanced at me through the mirror. "You okay back there?" he asked gently. I forced a small smile. "Just a long night." He nodded like he understood. "Denver's pretty calm at this hour. You'll be fine." I wished that were true. When we reached the city, I asked him to drop me off near a small 24-hour diner, instead of going straight to Graham Weston's office. I needed to be sure no one was tailing me. After paying the driver, I walked into the diner with my travel bag rolling behind me. The warmth of the place felt comforting. A waitress with pink hair smiled. "Sit anywhere you like, hun." I took a booth in the corner, ordered tea, and finally allowed myself to breathe. I pulled out my phone carefully and opened the secure email app. Mr. Weston helped me set up months ago. My finger hovered over the screen. Should I message him? What if Eric somehow checked my emails? What if calling brought danger to his office? But then I remembered Dr. Reid's words. "Don't go home. They want control of everything." I typed a short message. "Graham, it happened. I'm in Denver. I need help now." I hit send. I waited. My tea got cold. My heart kept racing. Finally, after almost 20 minutes, a reply popped up. Helen, don't go to my office. It's not safe today. Meet me at the Jefferson Hotel lobby at 4:45 a.m. Come alone. Trust only me. My heart dropped. Not safe. What did that mean? Was someone already looking for me? I paid for my tea and left quickly. The cold Denver air stung my face, but I moved fast, gripping my purse tightly. The Jefferson Hotel was a 12-minute walk. I kept looking behind me, scanning the street, watching for familiar cars. Finally, the tall glass building came into view. The lobby was bright and quiet, with a front desk clerk half asleep behind the counter. Soft music played from hidden speakers. I sat in a chair near the fireplace, pretending to read a magazine. The clock on the wall ticked loudly. For 27 a.m., every minute felt like an hour. Then something strange happened while I waited. A man in a black coat walked into the lobby. He wasn't carrying luggage. He didn't go to the front desk. He didn't look tired like a traveler. Instead, he scanned the room slowly, almost like he was searching for someone. My heart froze. Was he looking for me? I lowered the magazine and kept my head slightly turned away as he walked past my chair. He looked tall, clean-shaven, maybe in his late 40s. His eyes were sharp, too sharp. He walked near the elevators, stopped, checked his watch, then looked around again. Something felt wrong. I reached into my purse, pretending to look for something, but really I was gripping the special emergency button Graham gave me last year, a small device that sent an alert to his work phone. I didn't press it yet, not unless I was sure. The man took out his phone and made a call. Yeah, he said quietly. I'm here. She isn't moving yet. My heart slammed so hard I felt dizzy. She isn't moving yet. He meant me. He had to mean me. I looked toward the front doors. Only one hotel worker was there, no help. If I tried to run, he'd see. If I stayed, I might be trapped. I slid out of my chair slowly, pretending to stretch my legs, and moved toward the side hallway that led to the restrooms. If I could hide long enough for Graham to arrive, maybe, but before I reached the hallway, the man turned. Our eyes met. He froze. I froze. Then slowly, he smiled. Not a friendly smile, a knowing smile. He put the phone to his ear again and said loudly, yeah, found her. My breath caught in my throat. I ran. I didn't even think, I just ran down the hallway, my bag bouncing behind me, my heart crashing in my ears. I heard his footsteps, following that fast, closer, hunting me. I turned the corner and grabbed the restroom door, but someone grabbed my arm from behind, not violently, not rough, but firm. I gasped and spun around, and found myself staring into the face of Graham Weston, double quotes, Helen. He whispered urgently, don't panic. That man is not alone. Behind him, the black coat man was coming closer. Graham arrives, but he isn't alone, and neither is the man hunting Helen, who is following them. And why is the danger suddenly much bigger than she ever imagined? Graham tightened his grip on my arm, not hurting me, but steadying me. His eyes stayed fixed on the man in the black coat, who was now only a few steps away. Don't look scared, Graham whispered calmly. Just breathe. I swallowed hard. He said he found me. He was talking about me. I know, Graham said. That's why we need to move, now. The man in the black coat stopped right in front of us. His smile faded, replaced by a cold, steady expression. Ma'am, he said to me softly, your son is very worried about you. You shouldn't be here. Let's go somewhere safe, all right? His voice was polite, too polite, like honey hiding poison. Graham stepped between us. She's not going anywhere with you. The man tilted his head slightly, examining Graham like he was trying to decide whether he was a threat. And you are her attorney, Graham said sharply, and you have no legal right to approach her. The man chuckled under his breath. Relax, I'm just here to help a family reunite. Graham didn't move, didn't blink. Are you licensed to search for people? Are you a PI? Do you have paperwork? Any identification? The man's fake smile slowly disappeared. He didn't pull out a badge. He didn't reach for a card. Instead, he said, I don't need paperwork to take someone home. My blood went cold. Graham leaned closer to me. Helen, listen carefully. Walk with me. Don't run. Don't freeze. Just walk. I nodded shakily. We stepped backward together as the man watched, his jaw tightening. Mrs. Parker, he called out, you're making this harder than it needs to be. I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but Graham kept guiding me, one step, then another, toward the side exit. Then, suddenly, two more men walked into the lobby. I froze completely. Both men wore dark jackets, the same as the man who confronted us. They didn't look like regular hotel guests, and they weren't looking around, they were looking straight at me. One of them tapped his phone and nodded toward the man in the black coat, like they were communicating silently. My heart hit my ribs hard. "Graham," I whispered, "there are more." "I see them," he murmured. "Just keep walking." But the lobby felt like it was closing in around us. 3 men, all watching, all waiting. Graham pushed open the side door to the outside driveway, keeping his hand gently on my back. The cold morning air rushed in, but we didn't stop. "Helen, get in the car," he whispered. "What car?" "I brought mine." We hurried down the steps, and there it was, Graham's silver SUV parked close, engine already running. He must have been expecting trouble. We reached the door, and Graham pulled it open for me. "Get in." But before I could step inside, the man in the black coat appeared at the top of the stairs, raising his voice. "Helen, don't get in that car." His voice echoed across the empty driveway, sharp and commanding. My hands shook uncontrollably. Graham moved in front of me again. "Get in now." I climbed inside as fast as I could and slammed the door shut. Graham ran around to the driver's side. Before he could get in, one of the other men reached the bottom of the stairs. "Stop," he yelled. Graham didn't stop. He jumped in, locked the doors, and immediately hit the gas. The SUV shot forward, tires screeching against the pavement. The 3 men ran after us for a moment, but we were too fast. We turned the corner and left the hotel behind. I tried to breathe, but my chest felt tight with fear and confusion. "Graham," I whispered. "Who were they? Why were there so many?" He kept his eyes on the road, jaw clenched. "Those weren't random men, those were hired trackers. Experienced ones, hired by Eric, or someone connected to him," Graham said. "But this is bigger than just him. Those men work like a team. They're organized." My heart dropped. "Why would Eric need a team?" I asked. Graham hesitated before answering. "Helen, your son is hiding something serious, and whatever he wants from you, he wants it badly enough to hire a group of people to bring you back." I covered my mouth as tears spilled down my cheeks. "I don't understand," I whispered. "Why would my own child do this?" Graham glanced at me sadly. "Because he's desperate, and desperate people do dangerous things." We drove in silence for a moment until Graham added quietly, "And Helen, there's something I haven't told you yet, something about your accounts." I looked at him, my heart pounding. "What about my accounts?" Graham exhaled slowly. "Helen, someone tried to access your private savings yesterday. Someone attempted to break into Helen's hidden account, meaning Eric knows more than she thought, and the danger is rising fast. Who is helping him, and how close are they?" Graham's words hit me like a punch to the chest. "Someone tried to access your private savings yesterday." My voice shook. That account was hidden. Eric didn't even know it existed. Graham kept his hands tight on the steering wheel as he drove through the quiet, early morning streets of Denver. The city lights reflected in his eyes. "I know," he said, "but that's the problem." "What do you mean?" He glanced at me. "Whoever tried to get into your account knew exactly where to look. They had your full name, your date of birth, and one of your old security questions." I felt my stomach twist. Who could know something like that? "Someone close," Graham said. "Someone with access to personal things in your house." My throat went dry. "Eric, maybe," Graham said slowly, "or maybe Laura, or someone they know. But Helen, this wasn't just someone guessing. They tried using a digital access point, not in Colorado, but from Texas." "Texas," I whispered, shocked. Graham nodded. I stared at him, confused. "But no one in our family lives in Texas. We barely know anyone there." "I know," he said. "That's why I think Eric didn't do this alone. Someone is helping him, someone who knows how to access accounts." My hands started shaking. This was much bigger than I thought. We drove for a few minutes in silence. All I could hear was the sound of the engine and my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Finally, Graham spoke again. "Helen, I need to ask you something important." I looked at him, scared. "What?" He glanced at me seriously. "Have you noticed anything missing from your bedroom, your desk, your drawers?" I nodded slowly. "Yes, a few things. A couple of documents, old phone bills, some mail, and once, even my passport wasn't where I kept it." Graham cursed under his breath. "That's how they did it. They took enough personal information to break into your accounts." My chest tightened with fear. My own family, in my private space, digging through my life. "Graham, what do they want from me?" I whispered. He didn't hesitate. Money, Helen, control. They want power over your assets, and if they can prove you're unstable, everything legally becomes theirs. I wiped my eyes. They were planning that. I overheard them. I know, Graham said gently. And now they're moving fast. We were getting closer to downtown now. The streets were waking up, cars, buses, shops opening. The normal world kept moving, even while my life was falling apart. Graham took a deep breath. The good news is, your account is still safe. I blocked all attempts. I also placed alerts on everything you own. I felt a small wave of relief. Thank you. But, Graham continued, there's something else. My stomach dropped again. What now? Helen, your son filed a missing person report on you at 3:45 a.m. My heart nearly stopped. What? I'm not missing. He knows exactly what he's doing. I know, Graham said. He filed it to make you look unstable, to make it seem like you ran away confused. I leaned back, feeling dizzy. So now the police are looking for me. Yes, Graham said softly. And the men at the hotel were probably hired because Eric wants to find you before the police do. My eyes filled with tears again. I did nothing wrong. I know, Graham said, and I'm going to protect you. But right now, we need a safe place. He turned into a quiet residential street surrounded by well-maintained brick houses and tall trees. Where are we going? I asked. To someone I trust, Graham said, a retired police officer. He's helped clients of mine before. We pulled up to a small, cozy-looking house with a porch light on. The neighborhood was quiet except for the sound of birds. Graham parked the SUV and turned to me. His name is Detective Ryan Hale. He's completely trustworthy. I nodded, though fear still gripped my chest. What will he do for me? He'll help us understand what Eric has already done, Graham said. He can check if any reports have been filed in your name, and if there's a plan to force you into a facility. I felt a lump in my throat. Helen, Graham said softly, you're not alone. Not anymore. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the car, but as we walked toward the porch, I noticed something that made my heart slam against my ribs. A black car parked across the street. Engine running, headlights off, windows tinted. And inside, a shadowy figure was watching us. Someone followed Graham's car and found their new hiding place. Who is in the black car and how close are they to making their move? The black car across the street didn't move. It just sat there quietly, engine running, like it had been waiting for us long before we arrived. I stopped walking. My heart pounded so hard I felt dizzy. "Gay Graham," I whispered, gripping his sleeve. Someone followed us. He looked at the car for only half a second, then immediately placed his hand on my back and guided me up the porch steps. "Don't turn around," he whispered. "Just walk normally." "But trust me," he said firmly. "Don't give them a reason to approach." My legs felt like they were made of paper, but I kept walking toward the front door. Graham knocked twice in a specific pattern, too fast, too slow. A moment later, the door opened slightly, and a tall man in jeans and a gray t-shirt peered out. "Graham," the man said quietly. "It's us," Graham answered, "but we need to come in, quickly." The man stepped aside without another word. Graham gently pulled me inside, and the door shut behind us. I stood in the warm living room, breathing heavily. The man, Detective Ryan Hale, locked the door, and then checked the window blinds. "You were followed?" he asked. Graham nodded. "Across the street, black sedan." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Did you recognize anyone?" "No," Graham said, "but they were at the Jefferson Hotel earlier." Ryan turned to me. "Mrs. Parker, are you all right?" I swallowed hard. "I think so." He moved closer, but not too close, keeping his tone calm. "I know this is scary. You're safe in my home. Tell me what's happening." Graham stepped in and gave a clear summary. Eric filing a missing report. Men chasing me at the hotel. Attempted access to my private account. Someone from Texas trying to break in digitally. Eric and Laura planning to call me mentally unstable. Ryan listened carefully, his face shifting from concern to anger. "This is elder financial abuse," he said finally. "Serious stuff. And those men chasing you, that's planned, organized, not random." I lowered my head. "My own son." Ryan's voice softened. "Sadly, this happens more than people want to admit. But you're doing the right thing by getting help early." He turned toward Graham. "Did you tell her the other part yet?" Graham hesitated. "Not yet." My stomach dropped. "What part?" Ryan looked directly at me. "Mrs. Parker, a judge in Aurora received a request yesterday morning to start a guardianship process over you." I blinked, confused. "A guardianship? Graham sighed. It means Eric is trying to legally take control of your entire life, your decisions, your money, your home. I felt a wave of cold wash over me. He told them, Ryan continued, that you're showing signs of confusion, forgetting things, misplacing items, and wandering off. He's lying, I cried. I'm not confused. I'm not sick. I know, Ryan said gently. But he's building a case, collecting evidence, and if he succeeds, he'll be able to put you in a facility without your consent. I covered my mouth, shaking. All the whispers I heard that night came back to me, switching my medications, hiding items, making me appear unstable. He's already started, I whispered. He was going to force me into looking sick. Ryan nodded. And now he's moving fast. Those men in the black coats, they were supposed to pick you up quietly. If they brought you back, Eric would claim he rescued you after you ran away. My stomach twisted. Graham stepped forward. Ryan, what's the best move right now? Ryan thought for a moment, then said, First, Helen stays here. No calls, no texts, no internet on her phone. Everything should be through you. I nodded quickly. Second, Ryan added, we need to gather evidence before Eric destroys or changes anything. Graham agreed. I can prepare documents today. Ryan looked at me. Helen, do you trust us to help you? I wiped my tears and nodded. Yes, I trust you both. Just then Ryan's phone buzzed on the table. He walked over, glanced at the screen, and his face changed instantly. He turned the phone toward us. A message from an unknown number flashed across the screen. She won't get far. We know where you are. My blood ran cold. Ryan locked the phone immediately. They're watching more than we thought. Graham's face hardened. We need to move her again. Ryan shook his head. No. First, we need to figure out how they're tracking her. There's no way they found my house this fast. My breath caught. Did Eric place something in my purse, in my clothes, in my bag? Ryan stared at me. Helen, I need you to hand me everything you brought here. Ryan is about to search Helen's belongings. Someone has planted a tracker, and the truth he's about to find will change everything. Ryan's face was serious. More serious than before. Mrs. Parker, he said calmly, I need you to hand me everything you brought with you. Your purse, your travel bag, your coat, everything. My breath caught in my throat. Do you think there's a tracker on me? Ryan nodded slowly. The only way they found us this fast is if you're carrying something that's sending your location. I looked down at my purse like it had suddenly turned into a poisonous snake. But I didn't bring anything new, I whispered. Graham stepped closer. Helen, it could be something very small, something hidden in a pocket, a zipper, even inside a seam. Ryan opened a large wooden box on the coffee table. Put everything in here, Mrs. Parker. My hands shook as I placed my purse inside. Then, my travel bag. Then, my coat. Then my phone. Finally, even my shoes. Ryan closed the box carefully and carried it to the kitchen, where he turned on a bright inspection lamp. He took out a pair of gloves and started checking my belongings one by one. I stood beside Graham in the living room, my heart thumping hard. What if Eric put something in my purse while I slept? I asked quietly. It's possible, Graham said gently. He could have done it on any night, or Laura could have done it. You said she was often in your room, cleaning or organizing things. I pressed my hands together. I thought she was helping me. Graham sighed. Sometimes, manipulation looks like kindness at first. Ryan checked every corner of my purse, even the lining. Then he opened my travel bag. He shook each piece of clothing, checked the seams, pockets, and corners with a small flashlight. Nothing. Next, he checked my coat. Nothing. Then my shoes. Still nothing. He opened my phone. It was old, cracked, nothing fancy, just a simple device. He turned it around, slid a tiny tool along the seam, checked the battery area, checked the SIM tray. Nothing. He finally looked up at us, confused. This is strange. If they found my house this fast, something has to be giving them information. I felt panic rising again. What if they weren't tracking my things? Ryan froze. Graham slowly turned toward me. Then Ryan asked, Helen, what exactly did you bring from the house? Everything you have is right here. I nodded. Yes, only what you see. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Did you leave anything behind? Anything connected to you? I blinked. Just my tablet and the family computer in the living room. Ryan straightened. Your family has access to those. Yes. Eric uses the tablet sometimes. Chloe uses the computer. Ryan looked at Graham. If Eric installed a location sharing app on her tablet, and she left the house with it turned on, Graham finished the sentence. They'd know she was gone the second she left. Ryan snapped his fingers, and they'd track her movement through the city. That would explain how the men showed up at the hotel, and then here. I gasped. But the tablet is at home. How would they track me if I don't have it? Ryan looked at me softly. Mrs. Parker, if your tablet is synced with your phone might be sharing your last known movement to the cloud. Even if you didn't turn it on. My knees weakened. I didn't know. Graham rubbed his forehead. This means Eric planned this for a long time, installed things without your knowledge. Ryan closed the inspection box. But that's only part of it. He pointed at my blouse. Helen, may I check something? I nodded nervously. Ryan walked toward me, very respectfully, and patted the outside of my blouse pocket. A tiny clicking sound. He reached inside and pulled out something, so small I could barely see it. A microchip dot attached to a tiny magnet, the size of a grain of rice. My hand flew to my mouth. What is that? Ryan looked at it under the light. A short-range tracker. Very advanced. You can buy these only through private investigators or security contractors. Graham's face darkened. Helen, someone touched your clothes recently. My mind spun. Laura folding my laundry. Chloe pretending to hang my coat. Eric grabbing my jacket one morning. It could have been any of them. Tears filled my eyes. They followed me everywhere. Ryan placed the tracker inside a foil-lined envelope. Not anymore. It's disabled now. They'll think you're still in Denver for a while. Graham nodded. We have a head start. But then Ryan's phone rang again. Same number as before. Unknown. Blocked. He put it on speaker. A distorted voice said, "You can remove the tracker, but you can't remove her from us." Ryan hung up instantly, jaw tight. That wasn't Eric, Graham whispered. That voice was someone else. Ryan nodded, which means this is much bigger than your son. I felt my whole world tilt. The tracker is found, but the threatening call proves Eric isn't acting alone. A dangerous unknown person is watching Helen, and their next move is coming soon. Ryan set his phone down slowly, his jaw tight. Graham and I stared at him, waiting for him to say something, anything, but he stayed silent for a few seconds, thinking. Finally, he spoke. That voice wasn't Eric, and it wasn't any of the men from the hotel either. My breathing grew uneven. Then, who was it? Ryan looked straight at me. Someone who has resources, someone who knows how to use surveillance tools, someone who's been watching you longer than you think. I felt cold all over. You mean, months, maybe more, he said quietly. I sat down on the couch, feeling like the room was spinning. Graham crouched beside me. Double quotes Helen. Listen to me, he said softly. This isn't your fault. This is targeted, calculated. They chose you because you have assets they want. I wiped my eyes with trembling hands. But my own son, how could he let strangers near me? How could he do this to me? Graham sighed heavily. I don't know, Helen, but I promise we won't let them hurt you. Ryan walked to the window and peeked through the blinds. The black car was still there, engine running, lights off, windows tinted. Whoever is inside, Ryan murmured, they're waiting, watching. They want to see what our next move is. My voice was barely a whisper. What do they want from me? He turned around. Money, power, property. But the more I see, the more I think it's not just that. I felt my heartbeat hammering. What else could they want? Ryan hesitated. They want control. Total control over your life, over your decisions, over every document you sign. I covered my mouth. Like guardianship. Yes, he said, but forced and fast. Graham added, if they can get a doctor to sign the wrong papers, everything changes. That reminded me of something I overheard back in my house. I looked up quickly. Eric said he would try another doctor. Someone who would sign whatever he needed. Ryan nodded slowly. That matches everything we're seeing. He walked to the kitchen table and spread out the envelope with the tracker inside. This device wasn't put on you by accident. Someone got close enough to place it in your clothing. That means someone in your house was physically working with whoever is in that car. My chest tightened. My family, not Chloe, Graham said quietly. She's young. She might have known something, but she's not operating trackers. Eric or Laura, Ryan said. Maybe both. And someone else above them. The thought made my stomach twist. Suddenly, Ryan's dog, an old golden retriever resting in the corner, lifted his head and growled softly. Ryan snapped his head toward the window. Something's happening. He rushed to the blinds again. The black car door opened. A man stepped out. Tall, wearing a dark hooded jacket. He shut the door quietly and stood still for a moment, looking right at Ryan's house. "What is he doing?" I whispered. Ryan didn't answer. The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a phone. He typed something, paused, then looked directly at the window again, like he knew Ryan was watching. Ryan stepped back. "He just sent a message." Graham's phone buzzed immediately. My heart dropped. "Don't open it," Ryan said quickly. Graham ignored him and checked the screen. Then, he read the message out loud. "You're protecting the wrong person. Bring her out now." My blood ran cold. Ryan grabbed his keys. "We're leaving." Immediately, Buff. I asked, panicking. "A safe house outside the city," Ryan said. "Only trusted officers know about it. They won't find us there." Graham nodded. "Let's go before more show up." Ryan opened the hallway closet and pulled out a coat for me. "Helen, put this on. Keep your head down when we walk outside." My hands shook as I slipped into the coat. Graham grabbed my travel bag and purse. "Stay between us." Ryan took one more look through the blinds. "Okay, the man is still near the car, but he's not moving yet. We go fast." He opened the back door quietly. The night air flooded in. We stepped outside. Ryan whispered, "Walk, don't stop." But halfway to the car, I felt something in the pit of my stomach. A presence, a sensation. I turned my head just slightly. The man in the hood was no longer by the black car. He was standing in Ryan's driveway, only 20 feet behind us, staring straight at me. And then, he smiled. Not friendly. Not human. A cold, knowing smile. The mysterious man has found them and he's closer than ever. Who is he, and what does he want with Helen? The man stood in Ryan's driveway, only a few steps behind us. The cold morning air felt thicker suddenly, almost hard to breathe. His hood covered half his face, but his smile was clear, slow, confident, cruel. It was the smile of someone who had all the time in the world, and no fear at all. Ryan reacted instantly. "Keep walking," he whispered sharply. "Don't look at him." But I couldn't help it. My eyes were locked on the man. He didn't move toward us. He didn't speak. He just stood there, watching, like he was studying me. Graham grabbed my arm gently. "Helen, eyes forward, into the car, now." We hurried the last few steps to Ryan's SUV. Ryan opened the back door, and I climbed in quickly. Graham followed, sitting beside me. Ryan got into the driver's seat and locked the doors. The man still didn't move. Ryan started the engine. "Buckle up," he said. "We're leaving." I clicked the seatbelt with shaking fingers. Graham did the same. But, as Ryan pulled out of the driveway, the man finally took a step forward. Not running, not chasing, just one slow, deliberate step. Then he lifted his phone and pointed it at our car, like he was taking a photo or recording us leaving. Ryan exhaled shakily. This guy isn't scared of anything. As we drove down the street, I turned in my seat for one last look. The man stood exactly where we left him, holding the phone in both hands, filming us calmly, like he already knew where we were going next. I shivered. "Who is he?" I whispered. Graham looked troubled. "Not a hired investigator. They don't film. They don't taunt." Ryan spoke quietly as he drove. "He's someone with power behind him. Someone who wants you to know. He's not hiding. That's intimidation." I covered my mouth, trying to steady my breathing. My own son brought this man into my life. My own flesh and blood. The thought made me feel sick. "Where are we going now?" I asked softly. Ryan kept his eyes on the road. "A safe house, about 40 minutes out. No connections, no trackers, no digital signals. You'll be completely off-grid." "Will we be safe there?" I asked. "For a while," Ryan answered. "Long enough for me and Graham to handle things from the outside." Graham placed a hand over mine. "Helen, I'm filing emergency paperwork today. Once the court sees the evidence we gather, Eric won't be able to touch you." My voice trembled. "But what if he gets a doctor to lie? What if they say I'm unstable?" Ryan looked at me through the mirror. "Then we get ahead of him. That's what this morning is about." I nodded slowly, trying to trust them. But anxiety still twisted my insides. We drove for several minutes in silence. The sky was turning lighter shades of orange and pink spreading across the horizon. A new day beginning, and I felt nothing but fear. Halfway down the highway, Graham's phone vibrated. He checked the screen, and his entire face changed. "What is it?" I asked, terrified. He swallowed hard. "It's Chloe." My heart dropped. "My granddaughter." "Yes," he whispered. "She sent a message, but, Helen, it's not normal." Ryan glanced back. "Read it." Graham slowly read the message aloud. Grandma, please, come home. Dad is angry. Mom is crying. Everyone is saying, you're losing control. They said you might get hurt. Please come back before it gets worse. My eyes filled with tears, but something felt off. Way off. The wording, the tone. That wasn't how Chloe texted. She always used emojis, slang, half-sent. This message felt written by someone older, someone controlling the message. Ryan frowned. Let me see it. Graham handed him the phone. Ryan scanned it once, then shook his head. This wasn't written by a teenager. My chest tightened. Then, who wrote it? Graham closed his eyes. Eric or Laura, maybe both. I felt a painful mix of sadness and betrayal. She's just a child, I whispered. They're using her now. Graham nodded. They'll use anyone to get you back. Ryan suddenly slowed the car. Hold on, what's wrong? Graham asked. Ryan pulled into a small, empty gas station lot and parked. He turned to both of us. Voice steady but serious. I need to warn you about something before we continue. My hands shook. Warn me about what? Ryan looked me dead in the eyes. Helen, that man in the driveway. I've seen him before. A cold shiver shot up my spine. When? Graham asked. Ryan exhaled. Last year, working with a private contractor who's been involved in high-level financial fraud cases, I felt my stomach drop. Are you telling me? I started. Ryan finished the sentence for me. Double quotes. Yes. Whoever is after you isn't just your son. The dangerous man in the driveway has a criminal background. Helen is caught in something far bigger than family betrayal. What truth will finally be revealed? Ryan's words hit me like ice water. Whoever is after you isn't just your son. The small gas station lot was silent, the early morning sky turning gold. Graham turned in his seat, eyes full of worry. Ryan, tell us everything, he said. Ryan rested both hands on the steering wheel, thinking for a moment. The man in the driveway, he began slowly. His name is Cole Maddox. He used to work for a private security contractor in Texas. Not officially licensed, but connected. People like him don't take normal jobs. They take quiet jobs, jobs where they make people disappear. I sucked in a sharp breath. Disappear? You mean? Ryan held up a hand. Not murder, more like forced removals, taking people from one place to another, usually in financial or inheritance disputes. My chest tightened. And Eric hired him. Not directly, Ryan said. Eric doesn't have the money for that kind of man. But someone Eric contacted, someone with connections, brought Cole into the picture. I whispered. Someone from Texas, the same place where the attempt to access my account came from. Graham nodded grimly. It matches. Someone bigger than Eric is helping him. Someone who wants your assets. My eyes filled with tears again. I never hurt anyone. I never did anything wrong. Graham placed a comforting hand on mine. You don't deserve this, Helen, and we're going to stop them. Ryan turned the engine back on. We need to get to the safe house. Once you're secure, I'll contact people who can shut this whole operation down. I took a deep breath. What about Eric? We'll handle him legally, Graham said, and we'll expose whoever he teamed up with. Ryan looked at me through the rearview mirror. But Helen, you need to stay strong, because once we hide you, your family will panic. I whispered. Double quotes. Yes, Ryan said. And desperate people make mistakes. Mistakes we can use against them. We pulled out of the gas station and continued driving into the countryside. The city disappeared behind us, replaced by open roads, fields, and tall pine trees. The quiet felt heavy but safe. After 30 minutes, Ryan turned onto a narrow gravel road that led deep into a wooded area. A small cabin appeared, a simple, old, hidden place. This is it, Ryan said. No signals, no neighbors. No one will find you here. When we stepped out of the car, the air smelled like pine and earth. The world felt still. I finally breathed a little easier. Inside the cabin, everything was simpler. Bed, a sofa, a small kitchen, a fireplace. Graham helped me sit down. We'll stay with you for a little while, he said. Make sure you're safe. Ryan checked every window, every door, every inch of the cabin. Satisfied, he came back to us. Okay, he said calmly. Listen closely. Here's the plan. I leaned forward, trying to keep steady. First, Ryan said, I'm filing a report on Cole Maddox and the men with him. Once I confirm their involvement, they'll be detained. My breath shook with relief. Second, he continued, Graham will file an emergency petition with evidence that Eric attempted financial abuse. Graham nodded. We have more than enough, Ryan added. Once the judge sees what Eric has tried to do, he'll be blocked legally from controlling you. I finally felt hope, real hope, for the first time in days. Graham placed a cup of tea in my hand. You're safe now, Helen, truly. But as I held the warm cup, another feeling crept over me, a question that hurt. What will happen to Eric? I whispered, voice breaking. Graham sighed. He'll face consequences, maybe serious ones. I nodded slowly. The betrayal still burned inside me, but the fear slowly loosened. Ryan stepped outside to make calls. Graham sat beside me, quiet and gentle. For a long time, we didn't speak. Then Ryan returned. All done, he said. Everything is in motion. In a few hours, this nightmare will end. I wiped tears from my cheeks. Thank you, both of you. Graham smiled softly. You're stronger than you think, Helen. I stood, walked to the cabin window, and looked out at the tall pine trees dancing in the breeze. For the first time in years, I felt free. No whispers behind doors, no fear of losing my mind, no footsteps outside my room, no more traps. Just peace, just safety, just me. I closed my eyes and took a long, deep breath. This was the end of their plan, and the beginning of my life again. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks, so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend.